All right, let's get into this UFC 212. Hopefully we can give these guys a little spotty spotlight. Oh man, I mean it's a fun card. It's not a card that'll knock your dick in the dirt, but it's a fun one, you know. I would, my fight of the night besides the main event. There's a lot of good matchups, a lot of close matchups, but that Assuncao versus it's the
Marlon Moraes.
Yeah, and if you remember Marlon, he's the guy, World Series, a fighting champion. Moraes, he has a lot of hype behind him right now. He's actually a favorite against Rafael Assuncao, which is a little surprising. If you look at Assuncao's record, see what he's done. He did just beat. It was split, but he did beat Sterling. He lost unanimous decision TJ Dillashaw. Remember, he beat TJ. If you remember that, he did beat TJ. It was old school. Maya versus who did Maya fight? Shields, is that right?
Maya versus Shields.
Ah, there you go. 2013. Yep, that was in Brazil. Shields won that fight, main event. But you just look at the body of work by Assuncao. I don't get how everyone thinks he's an underdog in this. If you're betting on this, he would be my dog. I mean, he's beat Easton, who, remember, Mike Easton was a fucking beast from out of Lloyd Irvin's camp. So he beat Mike Easton. He beat TJ Dillashaw. He beat Pedro Munoz. If you remember, and Pedro just got a win, probably one of the best, I'd say probably the best guillotine in MMA right now. You got Brian Caraway, who's been flying under the radar, and then he lost to TJ. No shame in that. Unanimous decision at UFC 200. They beat Sterling, and Sterling's fighting Renan Barão next. So, I mean, Assuncao's a big test, especially for his first UFC fight. The UFC is such a bigger deal than the World Series of Fighting. It's thing funny. Look at David Branch, middleweight champion, light heavyweight champion. Yeah, he fought fucking terrible. I'm a David Branch fan. That fight was awful against number 9 guy in the world. He really struggled. That fight could have went either way. I had David winning, but barely. I like Assuncao in this fight. Everyone's so high on Moreno, though. Yeah. Moraes, is that how you say it?
Moraes. So Marlon Moraes.
But and this is my thing here. We go back to this. Who's he beat? Yeah. We get on these hype trains. Everyone's on this huge hype train with Francis Ngannou. I always go back. What have you done? What have you done? If you think being Josh Hill and Joseph Barraz and fucking Cody Bollinger and all these guys, if you think that has anything to do, granted he beat Miguel Torres, which is a big one, split decision, 2012, so that's a solid Miguel Torres. All right, I'll give him that. But if you look at Assuncao's record, I mean, you're talking the who's who. He's a fucking tough customer. I like Assuncao on this. Now, if Marlon gets by him, then the hype's real. But going off from World Series to the UFC and fighting Assuncao for your first fight, good luck, man. That's a big. They're doing him no favors at all. So I like Assuncao by decision in that one. Fucking, how about Eric Silva? He kicks off the main card. Eric the Timepiece Silva. You want to talk about a guy whose body has changed? And I hate bringing this stuff up, but that's why you guys listen to this shit, because you're not gonna hear this on UFC Tonight or any of these other bullshit MMA shows. But Eric Silva. You want to talk about a guy whose body has changed since USADA came in? That motherfucker went from Batman to Robin. I mean, he one of the best bodies of MMA, and then now he just a smooth dad bod. I mean, still a good body, but he looked fucking ridiculous. You look at his record. He always brings the fight. He lost to Neil Magny. He lost to Talib by KO. He got his submission his last one. Whenever he fights the upper echelon guys, he never does well. He's one of those guys who struggles with the upper echelon guys. You look at his losses to Fitch, Dong Hung Kim, your boy, Matt Brown. He beat an older Josh Koscheck, but he lost to Neil Magny and Talib. And Talib's just on the cusp of getting there, but still. For a while there, he was a straight fucking murderer. He's always fun to watch, but he's always been hot, cold. And then, fighting Yancey, another guy always brings it. I'll tell you right now, this fight ain't going to decision. The chances of this fight going to decision are not good. Both these are hot, cold. I don't know if the loser gets walking papers, but but Yancey's a guy who anytime he fights, you want to watch. How many performances of the nights has he got? 1, 2, 3, 4 performances of the nights. He's a guy you want to watch. That's a fun fight. It's a great fight. I'll take Yancey. I'm just for Eric Silva, with the USADA and all that. I'll take Yancey. And let's go on to the battle of the Jesus lovers. You got Vitor Belfort versus my boy Nate, the great Marquardt. Listen, last night I was watching. God, that's a terrible picture of Vitor in that. Last night I was watching the rerun of Woodley versus Nate Marquardt for the Strikeforce middleweight welterweight championship of the world. God, that was a fun fight, man. That whole card. That was also Tim Kennedy and Rockhold were the main event. And Nate and Woodley were on there, and everyone thought that Nate and Woodley fight was going to be boring. Nate's fallen on hard times, man. Really hard times. Really, really hard times if you look at it. For a while, that guy was like my brother, man. He was the leader of our team. I saw him every day, so I got nothing but love for Nate. But, out of his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, he's won 3. Probably time to move on, Nate the Great. Probably time to move on. So this is basically UFC's version of the master class of masters. Jiu-jitsu has masters, golf has masters. Difference in jiu-jitsu and golf is you don't get punched in the face. So that's why you can afford to have masters. These older guys can't have it. I think this should, no matter what happens, should be both their last fights. I really do. Good luck telling either of these guys that, though. Nate's been fighting since he was 17. Jeez. Fought for the title. World champion at Strikeforce, beating Woodley with a Mortal Kombat combo, if you remember all that.
Yeah.
And then with Vitor Belfort, you look at Vitor. Vitor is a guy that, when USADA kicked in, he's been a different animal. He got starched by Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin looked great, but it was a no contest because Kelvin smoked some weed. Still starched him, weed or no weed. And then Gegard Mousasi made him look terrible. Jacare did his thing. He beat Dan Henderson. And then, that Chris Weidman for the middleweight title was rough. But before that, when there's USADA, he did fucking work. You look at his resume, it's ridiculous. He's on the Mount Rushmore. He's 100% on the Mount Rushmore. So is Nate Dogg. What Nate's done for the sport. He's Strikeforce world champion, Pancrase multi-time world champion, fighting since he's 17. He's on the end of the Mount Rushmore. I have 50 guys on the end, but he's on that big-ass Grand Canyon Mount Rushmore I got. It's probably just, what he means to me. I'm sure other people argue with that. But, when Nate loses a guy like Sam Alvey, nothing against Sam Alvey, but it's time to kick the tires on that old wagon and hit the road. But I will never bet against Nate. And I think Nate's an underdog in that fight. I hope both of them just get juiced to the gills and say, fuck USADA. And we get vintage Nate Marquardt and a vintage Vitor Belfort, and you get your fight of the night. It's going to be a fun fight, but it's not going to decision. I never pick against Nate for obvious reasons. If it's someone I know, that's why I say never bet on my picks. If it's two guys I don't know, it's an important fight, usually can bet on my picks. But on this one, I always take Nate. Claudia Gadelha versus Carolina. You want to take this one? It's a tough one.
Kowalkiewicz.
That's right. Kowalkiewicz. You're talking about the two best girls not named Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The very best in the world not named Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And Claudia Gadelha, she's just so goddamn good, but it's just a bad matchup for Joanna. She beats everyone in the world not named Joanna. It's just, she fucked up. She's born on the wrong year. And now she has this, I don't want to see her fight Joanna the third time. So she gets by her. What are you going to do? You got Rose probably next in line because you can't have them fight 3 times. Just because she beats one girl, she doesn't keep coming back till she finally beats her. So, Carolina obviously has a striking advantage, but I just think, and she did beat Rose. Split decision. Fight of the night. That was a great fight. But, I'll take Claudia. I just think, she gets done by decision, but she's so goddamn good. She just fucked up and her parents had sex and she was born on the wrong date. What you like anyone in that fight?
Not really. You know what? Since you picked Claudia, I'll just go ahead and pick Carolina.
Why not?
Carolina.
Let's do the main event. Oh, it's a hell of a fight. It's a hell of a fight. Featherweight title fight. You got Max Holloway, the blessed one. How dare you refer to yourself as the blessed one? Nate's the blessed one. Vitor's blessed. Just kidding. I love it. 10 in a row. You know how fucking hard it is to get 10 wins these days? And his last loss was Conor McGregor. He had that split decision loss to Dennis Bermudez. And that was a young one. That was a young-ass Max Holloway. Remember, he got started in the UFC. He was super young, man. And everyone had all these high hopes for him. So he loses 2 in a row. He thinks he's going to get his walking papers. They give him a UFC newbie and Will Chope. He fucks that Will dude up, gets knocked out of the night, does fucking work, just destroys that kid. And he wins 10 in a row. But not only did he win 10 in a row, but he beats some tough guys. Cole Miller, never an easy opponent, always brings it. Cub Swanson, we all know how good Cub is. Charles Oliveira beats him. Jeremy Stevens smokes him. It was a unanimous decision, but he did work. Ricardo Lama is insanely tough. And then you got Anthony Pettis, which, obviously, it was his first fight there, but still. But that was for the interim featherweight championship belt. I think Max Holloway's the underdog, too. Am I right on that? I'm pretty sure he's not, but barely, right?
He was actually the favorite last night or something, just like briefly.
What is it now?
Not as definitely Aldo. Let's refresh this to check.
I go back and forth on this fight.
Yeah, Aldo by minus 145.
Minus 145.
Plus
125. It's close. It's close pick. Nate, yeah. I mean, look at all those. Claudia is a huge favorite. Well, yeah. Like I said, best in the world, not named Joanna. You look at Jose Aldo, and obviously all the media's picked up Rogan saying his legacy's tarnished by that knockout of Conor McGregor. It's kind of true. It's kind of true. And everyone's, you just agree with Joe. No, it's kind of true because before that, let's be honest, especially in America, we really didn't care about Jose Aldo and his greatness. Even though he's top 5 Mount Rushmore, pound for pound of all time greatest fighters. You look at his resume, everything he's done for the sport, he's amazing at 145. The best 145er of all time. But we didn't start caring about him until when? Even though, his fight against Chad Mendes, too, is to me one of the greatest fights of all time, top 5 in the UFC of all time. But the one way America got familiar with him, especially, the most popular fight he's ever had is Conor McGregor. We get starched in 13 seconds. So unfortunately for a lot of people, that's how they know Jose Aldo. And then he comes back and no one really talks about it, but he beats Frankie Edgar. You know how hard it is to beat fucking Frankie Edgar? It's so tough, man. And that was for, the featherweight championship of the world. He beat Frankie Edgar at 200. No one really talks about that. Frankie Edgar's so good. We don't talk about it. I have a tough time picking against Jose Aldo, especially in Brazil. I really do. Max Holloway's going to have a few advantages with his height, his reach. I think his boxing's better. His Muay Thai's not better. And I don't think his wrestling's better than Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo's beat tougher guys. Jose Aldo's only lost once to Conor McGregor. But if you look at Jose Aldo's last few wins, it's all really, and this is fair to say, it's against a lot of grapplers, a pure grappler. The background. Frank Edgar's amazing striker. His background's wrestling. Chad Mendes, amazing freaking athlete. Can't wait for him to come back. He's a grappler. Ricardo Lamas, he's a grappler. So a lot of his big wins are from guys grappling in general. The one thing you can be like, well, he kind of, he struggled with Conor McGregor. Struggled, yeah. You'd say, he got caught, in 13 seconds. It's fair to say he got caught. When he fights an elite striker, and Max Holloway is an elite striker, and he's big. Is he good enough to beat Jose Aldo? God, This is a tough fight for me to pick. You like anyone on this?
I don't. Once again, even. Let me look at their pictures. Again.
I'll say this, and this is what's going to sway me. I hate riding the fence. I fucking hate when people do that. Max Holloway, he has a 10-fight win streak. He has momentum. He believes in everything he says. He wants to fight. Jose Aldo retired. Remember he retired? He hated that Conor McGregor stuff. I think Conor McGregor kind of fucked up his mental space. I will take Max Holloway just off of his freaking heart and drive and his determination to become the legit 145 champ of the world. He doesn't care that it's in Brazil. He doesn't care about any of that. I like Max Holloway's confident. I like his frame of mind right now, and that means so much at this level. I'm going to take Max Holloway in a decision. Hopefully he doesn't get fucked over by Brazilian judges.
Close decision?
Close. If anyone gets stopped, it's Max Holloway stopping Jose Aldo, though, with his fist, with his boxing. His range, he's good at mixing up. Hopefully Max Holloway has an answer for those vicious leg kicks. I'm sure he does. You don't fight Jose Aldo without those, having some sort of game plan for those leg kicks. You dig it?
I dig it.
Boom. So I'm taking Rafael. I'm taking Yancey. I'm taking Nate Marquardt. That one has an asterisk next to it. Don't bet on that one. I'm taking Claudio Gadelha. And I'm taking Max Holloway for my UFC 212 picks this weekend. We are doing a fight companion for it, you filthy animals. Take 2 baths.